everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sophie and in today's video I'm going to be reading the books that have been on my physical TBR for the longest. So before I get on to the books, please remember to like this video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. So let's get into the reading vlog. So I really want to get my physical TBR down to a place where I'm reading the books that I've bought within like a year of buying them. I think I really want to have a small TBR so that I bring in books and I read them pretty much sort of straight away or within a couple of months, maybe sort of up to 9 months or something. I've gotten to the point where I have too many on my TBR and my tastes have changed so much since I started reading. Even in the past few years they've changed so much. One of these books, for example, is a YA fantasy which I don't really tend to enjoy anymore. We're gonna give it a go because it's here. So the one that's been on my physical TBR for the longest is Dangerous Remedy by Kat Dunn. This has been on my physical TBR since early 2022. I remember buying this when I was ill with COVID and I wanted to make myself feel better, and I just bought a load of books. All I know about this one is it's a like French Revolution book, because obviously it's got like the guillotine and stuff. I remember at the time of buying this I was watching a lot of Beth, I think her channel was Book Nest, Beth from Book Nest. I don't know what her channel's called anymore, but she was reading this series and really enjoyed it, and that's literally the reason I bought it. So this one has been on the TBR for the longest and I need to get this one read. And then the next two have been on my TBR since sort of mid to late 2023, so not as bad as that, but again I want to get it so they're not on the TBR for that long. So the next one is 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. All I know is it's like an ancient Greek retelling. I don't really tend to want to know much more than that. I've heard really good things about this, so I'm really excited to get into this one. And then the final book for this one is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. This is the Fairy Loot edition. This came in late 2023, I think. All I know about this one is written by Cassandra Clare. I know it's sort of like, a lot of people have compared this to A Darker Shade of Magic. I don't know why I haven't read this, but the sequel is also coming out soon, or is already out. So I really need to get this one read and get it off the TBR again. This one's quite a chunky one though, so it might take me a bit of time, but yeah, I am actually really excited to get to this one. I had actually pre-ordered it from Waterstones, and then when I knew that Fairy Loot were doing an edition, I cancelled my pre-order. So I don't know why I haven't read this, but yeah, this one needs to get read as well. So those are the 3 books that we're going to be reading for this vlog. And I think I'm going to start with the one that's been on my TBR for the longest, which is Dangerous Remedy by Kat Dunn. So I'm just coming in with a quick reading update for Dangerous Remedy by Kat Dunn. So first of all, my copy is really badly misprinted. I don't know if you can like see, but like the guillotine is all misaligned. These lines are supposed to be next to each other, like the hot air balloon at the top. Yeah, it's just really, and you can see sort of like on the spine as well how it's misaligned, and then here there's like a white bit. So there's not much I can do about it now because I bought this copy back in 2022, so that just sort of serves me right really for having this on my TBR for so long. But first of all, I'm really enjoying this one, more than I was expecting to actually. This is quite a nice surprise for me. So we're following the Battalion of the Dead, and this contains Camille, Ada, Gil and Al. So people hire them to rescue prisoners or rescue people from the guillotine. So like I said, this is set in France, 1794, at the height of the sort of French Revolution. The king and queen have been executed and everyone's turning on each other basically. So this is a really kind of like, not fun backdrop, a really interesting backdrop for this book to be set in. So at the very beginning we're thrust straight into the action, and the Battalion of the Dead are tasked to rescue someone from prison. Now all they know is that they've been hired by this girl's father, and actually when they get there things start to go wrong. Obviously the plan doesn't go to plan, and it turns out that she is not an ordinary human. She actually has some really cool powers, and when they find her, she's got like a metal mask on her face. Her gloves have been like sewn to her wrist so she can't take them off, and our character Camille, she like cuts the gloves off and then discovers that she has like sort of electrical powers. So when she touches people, like sparks come out of her. We're still learning a lot about her powers. She doesn't know much about her powers either. So the sort of main bit of this book is, what do they do with this girl now? Because the person who hired them is not this girl's father. There's sort of 2 groups of people that want this girl for their own gains, and they think the best thing for her, the safest thing for her, is to hide her away until they work out kind of what to do with her really. So we've got like found family. They've all come from quite traumatic backgrounds. So like it says on the back, Camille is a revolutionary's daughter, so her parents were killed in the revolution. Ada is a runaway lover, so actually Ada's parents knew Camille's parents, they all knew each other before this. Gil is an army deserter and Al is an aristocrat. So they all kind of come from sort of noble backgrounds, and they've all had personal dealings with the revolution. So like Camille's parents were executed, Al's parents had to flee the country, sort of thing. So the two groups that want this girl are the royalists and the revolutionaries, and really neither of them want what's best for her. Neither of them really want what's best for the country either. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Such a cool setting, cool story. Like, I'm really enjoying myself actually, which is really surprising considering this is a YA fantasy. But yeah, really loving this one. I'm definitely hoping that it carries on being as good as it is, and I'll definitely be continuing this series. But yeah, really enjoying this one. If it sounds interesting to you, if you kind of like a fantasy with a more like historical setting, like, you know, they're trying to break into the prison and there's like, there's a hot air balloon because, you know, and muskets because there's no guns or anything. So yeah, it's really cool. And yeah, I'm going to carry on reading this one and I'll check back in with you guys when I'm done. So I'm just checking in to say I have finished the first book for this reading vlog, which is Dangerous Remedy by Kat Dunn. And I really enjoyed this one. I'm going to give this one a 4 stars. For me, I think this series is only hopefully going to get better and better. The setting of like the French Revolution and the whole sort of science aspect of, we don't know what's quite happened to Olympie. We don't know, you know, is she dangerous? What's going on there? We've got the royalists and the revolutionaries sort of fighting against each other. They all want Olympie for their own gain. And then we've also got just so much other stuff going on. You've got all the, you know, the beheadings at the guillotine and things like that. The characters were all really interesting. This was really well written. This is really fast paced. Yeah, I've already ordered the next 2 books in the series. I got money left on a Waterstones gift card. But yeah, really good. I think if you like Six of Crows and the aspect of like found family, there is a heist sort of at the start, but it's not like the main plot. It throws you straight into the action, straight into the heist of getting Olympie out of the prison, and then we just sort of go from there, and the plot builds and we get sort of more and more characters and we're exploring more of this world. And I'm really excited for the second one. I think our characters have sort of split off into 2 separate plots now, and I'm really excited to open this world up a bit more, meet more characters, have some more development of the current characters. But yeah, really enjoyed this one. Highly recommend. So I think the next book I'm going to read for this vlog is going to be 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. So I'm just checking back in because I have now started and finished reading 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. So this one is basically a retelling of the Trojan War, but from the perspective of the women. So instead of following, like, you know, King Priam of Trojan, we follow his wife Hecate and her perspective of what's everything that's happening. So we follow sort of the royal family of Troy, we follow some famous Greeks, we follow quite a few people in here, but the chapters do tell you like who we're following in that chapter. So like this one is the Trojan women. I really enjoyed this one. I'm going to give this one a 4.5 stars. It wasn't quite a 5-star for me. So like I said, it's a retelling of the Trojan War but from the women's perspective, and the only issue I had, it wasn't really an issue, is anytime sort of like a character was introduced, we sort of went off on a bit of a tangent, sort of telling their backstory and back to the main story. And sometimes the tangents were really useful, don't get me wrong, but sometimes they just went on a little bit too long and like kind of threw me out of the story a bit. That's my only criticism of this book. I think it was really well written. The tangents were quite interesting apart from when they went on a bit long. It was really interesting to read from like the women's perspective, because obviously we've all heard about the Trojan War from the men's perspective, about the battles and stuff, but you don't hear about the battles that the women face, and like when Troy was conquered and all the women were taken as slaves, like what happened to them after. So yeah, this was really good, really well written, really interesting characters. I mean, I know it's a retelling, you know, she didn't come up with these characters herself, but it was really good, and I'd highly recommend reading it. It was quite a quick read as well for me because it was just so interesting. I just kept, you know, turning the page, didn't want to put it down. But yeah, if you're interested in like sort of Greek retellings, I definitely recommend this book. It was really good, and I'm definitely gonna be checking out more from this author. I think she's got a book about Medusa called like Stone Blind, so I'm definitely gonna check that out. And I'm annoyed that I've taken so long to read this one, but glad I finally got to it. It was really good, and a really good like standalone sort of fantasy story. Also as well, just another point I want to make about 1,000 Ships is that like the women's stories were actually really heartbreaking at times and quite difficult to read. So for example, like the women of Troy, one of the characters, she's the wife of Hector, and the Greeks just throw her son over the walls and she's killed, she's taken as a slave, and it like bears a child for the man who killed her son. And it's just like really heartbreaking what these women went through, and it's good that they finally have their stories told. Like we hear so much about the men fighting and everything, fighting over this woman Helen, and like it's interesting to read from like Paris's family, who are all just sort of like, all this over a woman, like really, like. So yeah, this is really good. But yeah, I just wanted to add that as like another point. It is quite hard to read in parts. Like it's not explicitly, like there's not really any detail as to like, obviously a lot of these women get taken as slaves and then raped and stuff. There's no like explicit detail, but it does say like she was raped and she had to bear a child and things like that. And it's not just her that it happens to, it happens to quite a few of them as well. And like, I think if you read a Greek retelling, you'll know that there's quite a few bits that are quite difficult to read, so just remember that, sort of consider that going into it as well. So the final book I'm going to be reading for this reading vlog is quite a big one, and it's going to be Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I don't know anything about this one other than it's her debut sort of adult book. I know it's sort of like inspired by A Darker Shade of Magic, but other than that I don't know anything of what it's about. Yeah, this one is just over 600 pages, so I don't think I'm going to get it done today. That was a bit much, but yeah, I'm really excited to get to this one. Okay, so I'm just over 180 pages into Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. It's in my book sleeve so you can't see it. We're like 180 pages in and I can't really tell you what the plot of this is. It's so slow, but like not even in a good way. Like I'm reading it and my mind's just like wandering. There's no incentive for me to read this book at the moment. So we follow our main character Kel, and he is a sword catcher. So he was taken from an orphanage because he looks a little bit like the crown prince of this kingdom, which is called Castellane. And basically his job is to die for Connor, the crown prince. So he goes everywhere with Connor. He stands in for him if they fear there's like an assassination attempt about to happen, things like that. So that's him. And then we also follow another character called Lynn, who's a type of magic user that's like outlawed in this city, in this kingdom, and like they have to stay within the city walls. They're not allowed out after dark kind of thing. I'm not really sure how these two plot lines are going to cross. All we've done at the moment is Lynn, so her grandfather, who is also one of these like magic users, has a place of sort of quite high authority in the sort of the king's council, but nothing has changed for his people, so they're still like ostracized and not really treated very nicely. So that's her plot line, and all we've done with her is her friend's ill and she's trying to make her friend better. And then with Kel's plot line, so like we've sort of we were introduced to him being taken from the orphanage, and then we've skipped ahead a few years, and like him and Connor were they're just kind of like going about their daily life, like going to meetings, going to like a brothel and things like that. And I'm just kind of like, where's this going? What are we doing? And there's a character called the Ragpicker King, who's like a criminal mastermind, and like him and Kel have had an interaction, and that's sort of it. But I can't even say what we're doing there. So like, we're 180 pages in. I can't really tell you what the point of this story is really. Like, we haven't really got into the main crux of the plot yet. It's very, very slow and not really quite what I was expecting from Cassandra Clare. Like, I've loved all her Shadowhunter books, and I feel like they sort of, we dive right into the action, you know, we're not waiting around for things to happen. And yeah, I'm not really sure what I think of this one. It's definitely not, at the moment it's like a 3-star read for me. It might get a bit better once we sort of get going a bit with the plot. I'm not really very impressed with this one so far, so I think I'm gonna read like another 100, maybe read for another like 45 minutes, see how I feel, and then maybe switch over to something else or something, because yeah, I don't want to read this book right now. Like, it's really quite boring. Nothing's really happening, and I don't mind like a slow moving fantasy. Like, I read a lot of political slow moving fantasy, but it's not even like political. It's just like we're just following Kel and Connor in their like day-to-day life, and it's just kind of boring. I see what people mean now when they say that this is very heavily inspired by A Darker Shade of Magic by V. Schwab. Like, we've even got like a character called Kel, like there's like a character called like Mayesh, and obviously we have like Maresh, and yeah, it's just kind of like, if you're gonna copy, you should like change the names. I don't know, I'm not loving this one. And I do like Cassandra Clare as an author, don't get me wrong, I've loved her Shadowhunter. She's like one of my favourite authors in regards to like her Shadowhunter work, but I'm not really very impressed with this one so far. So I'll carry on reading and I'll check back in a bit later when I've got hopefully a better update, but we'll see. So I'm just coming in with a quick reading update to finish out this vlog. So I have now finished reading Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, and I'm going to give this one maybe a 3-star, 2.53 star. I'm sitting at a 3-star for now. This was really disappointing. So this was a really anticipated release for me. I pre-ordered it, and then when I found out it was coming in a Fairy Loot box, I did cancel my pre-order, which is why my cover is different. It's the Fairy Loot edition, and I went ahead and ordered the second one when it came out with Fairy Loot, and that's actually, funny enough, just been dispatched. I don't know if I'm going to read it. This was really disappointing. So as I said in my previous update, I won't break too much more on what I've already said, but it picked up a little bit after I had said to you that the plot wasn't really going anywhere. Like, we were 180 pages in and nothing had really happened. It picked up a little bit, but like the plot of this one, not a lot really happened. So we had a little bit of like politicking between this kingdom and another kingdom, but only like a little bit. Connor was like betrothed to someone. It was arranged that he was going to marry a princess from another kingdom, and then we just kind of went and did some other stuff. So we've got like the rag picker king, we've got some criminals in this world who are trying to infiltrate the palace, get involved in things like that. But like there was almost like a lot going on, but also not a lot going on. There's a lot of little things happening, and we just kind of like picked things up, dropped things, and the world was really not very well developed. I think for me, she is become so used to writing in the Shadowhunter world. Like world development of that series was established in the very first book that she ever wrote, and then she hasn't really needed to develop the world much since, and I think you can kind of tell. And then we focused on a lot of details that were like really irrelevant. So like, I tell you what, if I read about what colour thread is used in people's outfits, it's not relevant, Cassandra. It's not relevant. We don't care. It was just like, yeah, we just focused on really odd things, like the thread of this person's coat in the meeting, and then we didn't really focus on the meeting. And then like our character Kel just kept like, he kept meeting people, and then like I said, plot points would happen and then almost be irrelevant and dropped again. And can I really tell you what happened in this 600-page book? Like so much of this most of it could have been cut out. Like we had quite a bit of action at the end, but like it was just really disappointing to me that we had sort of like 550 pages of not a lot for that. The world's not very well developed. The characters aren't really developed all that well. Like we have this whole divide between two religions. I don't even know. This is the thing, I can't even really describe what's been going on. There's like a divide in the city, and like that's not really been explored. The two different like cultures haven't been explored, and it's just a bit boring. Like 600 pages and not really a lot happens. Yeah, this was very disappointing. I'm thinking maybe a 2.5, so we'll see when the second one arrives, because I can't cancel it now. Maybe I'll just sell it, I don't know. I'll see how I feel about it when it arrives, or I'll give it a read, because like it wasn't bad, it was just nothing happened. Yeah, so that's that one done. I mean, at least I finally read it, so yeah, just very disappointing. So that's going to be it for this reading vlog. Comment down below if you've read any of these books. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion. Do we agree? Do we disagree? Please remember to like this video if you enjoy it, and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.